I know we all have that family member that seems to always overstep, and it's usually the same person, in my opinion, when it comes to these Reddit stories, and that is the mother-in-law, or what we like to call sometimes a monster-in-law. And it's kind of funny to me that that really only refers to the moms. I never really hear people referring to the dad as a monster-in-law. Maybe it's the M word or whatever it is, but whatever it is, today we have some stories with some mother-in-laws that just can't seem to not cross over boundaries. And we're going to jump right into the stories. Thank you for everyone that thank you for everyone that is coming in live. I know I'm streaming a little bit earlier than I normally do, but without further ado, let's jump into our first story, which is, I'm waiting for the thing. Am I the a-hole for returning the money my mother-in-law? Oh, that's what I'm like. What am I supposed to be doing? I am supposed to be putting Bossy B into the mix. So Bossy B, bring us in. Okay, now we can get into the first story, which is, am I the a-hole for returning the money my mother-in-law? Am I the a-hole for returning money to my mother-in-law in front of everyone, embarrassing her? Now, the question is, did she embarrass you first? And I'm pretty sure we're going to learn that mother-in-law probably did embarrass OP first. So let's jump right into it. So, am I the a-hole for returning the money to my mother-in-law in front of everyone, embarrassing her? Me, 28 female, and my fiance, 27 male, are getting married in March. I come from an upper class family, and my fiance is a lower middle class. This is a delicate matter in his family. Despite me being able to pay all the costs of the wedding, my parents gave the equivalent of 60% of the value of the wedding as a gift, which would be around $30,000. And this is a fictitious value. They're not telling us exactly how much they're spending on their wedding. And unfortunately, my parents did not use the gift as a form of they did not use the gift as a form of wanting to control everything at the party. When my fiance's parents learned that my parents had given the gift, my fiance and I didn't mention it to my sister-in-law. We didn't mention it, and my sister-in-law snitched on them. They decided to give their gift as well and gave $3,000, an amount for which I was very grateful to have received. And I deeply regret doing this, especially for my mother-in-law. I don't plan on having a traditional wedding party. The dress won't be white, it'll be lilac, so like kind of a purple color. There will be no religious ceremony. And it will be a party of only 30 guests, and my fiance agrees and supports this. This bothers my mother-in-law a lot, especially the dress not being white. But guess what, mother-in-law? It is not your wedding. So you don't really get to choose what they're doing. But I guess since she's putting in the money, she's finding a problem without not having an input here. So interesting. Over time, she gave up on imposing the idea of a big party and not having a religious ceremony, but the dress is something she annoys me so much about. And it continues even though I snapped on her and my fiance tells her to stop. Because of that, we are low contact with her. Yesterday, it was my sister-in-law's birthday, and I went with my husband. Obviously, my mother-in-law was there. Not even 5 minutes after I stepped into the party, she started again with the idea of me having to wear white because it's an important tradition. And it got to the point where she was talking to her sister about how the new generation doesn't respect traditions and that she was sorry/afraid of these new parties. Well, good thing that OP is not having a party, so she doesn't have to be afraid of the party. I had my limit when she spoke loud and clear that in her time, the bride and groom respected the parents' opinions, even more so if they helped pay for the wedding. I was very angry and said, enough, I can't take it. It's not worth listening to other people's opinions for this money. I had this money in my pocket and was going to deposit the same amount in the bank later, but I gave it up and gave it to her in front of everyone. I added that now she won't say anything because she's not helping. Well, that was kind of messed up because the mother-in-law wasn't really saying that she gets an opinion because she gave money. So I don't know why she kind of snapped like that. If you guys are watching on the live stream on YouTube, make sure you are voting in the poll. We don't have a poll over on TikTok, but that's okay. Make sure you guys are voting in the chat, whether you think this person is the a-hole in the situation or trifling in the situation. This generated a confusion of tremendous proportions. My fiance's entire family fighting on me, saying that I humiliated her in front of everyone and demeaned the amount they gave. Well, I had to leave early so it wouldn't get worse. My fiance understands why I did it, but said it wasn't the best moment and I could have done it in private and not in front of everyone. So, am I trifling for giving the money back? In my opinion, and there's some a little bit more explaining going on, but let me give my opinion real quick and then we'll jump into what she adds to the story. It doesn't really seem like the mother is saying, oh, you have to do what I say because I gave you money. I think she just wants the daughter-in-law to do what she says because she probably just wants to have an input on the wedding. I feel like the mother-in-law would have still had the same opinions whether they gave her the $3,000 or not. It doesn't sound like the mother-in-law in the story, unless I skipped it somewhere, brought up the money and that, oh, you should listen to me because I gave you money. It more sounds like she's like, you should listen to me because I'm your elder and you should respect the traditions that I want to have in the wedding as well, because my family is coming. That's what it sounds like to me. So I'm almost on the mother-in-law side for once in the story because the daughter-in-law just kind of brought it up, but it doesn't seem like anybody else was really talking about that. So that's weird to me. But anyways, she goes on to explain to some of the comments on Reddit and says, one, it's not $1 and the values are fictitious. It was only given as a parameter of values only. So she was basically just trying to show us that what her parents gave was what, 3 times as much as what his family gave, because her parents gave $30,000 and his parents gave $3,000 because she has the upper class family, blah, blah, blah. So she's saying that wasn't the exact amount of money, but that was just kind of a comparison of what they gave. They said number 2, I didn't have exactly $3,000 in my purse. The translator was wrong here. And this does seem like it was written from someone that spoke a different language because I was struggling through reading it. It was close to 3 to 2K. It was close to 2K and I was going to deposit it after the party. She also says, I've lived with my husband for years. We've been married for years. We're just getting official. So I call him my husband or fiance, whatever, just kind of correcting how it switched throughout the story. And then my sister-in-law found out about the money because my husband, they are very close, told her that he was happy that my parents covered more than half of the expenses and this amount not spending it on a wedding. We saved it for IVF next year. Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was like, wait, they gave you $30,000 and you didn't use it. So what are you guys using it for? So they're saving it up for IVF, which makes sense. But the $3,000, I think she kind of threw that in the mother-in-law's face without that really even being a problem. So let's see. And maybe I missed it. I could have definitely missed it because I see Kimmy writing a comment there, which we're going to get to in a moment. So if you guys are watching live, make sure you're dropping in the comment section what your thoughts are. Let's see what the Reddit commenters had to say. First comment says, not the a-hole, sucks to the mother-in-law, act like an a-hole in front of others, be treated like an a-hole in front of others. Somebody commented that and said, right, it's OP's wedding, so she can wear what she wants. If she wants to wear a freaking potato sack, she's entitled to wear a freaking potato sack. Leave her alone. Leave it alone, mother-in-law. And so now I'm feeling like I did miss something. Sometimes it's hard when you're reading. You should be comprehending as you're reading, but maybe I was not comprehending while I was reading. Oh my gosh. Let me see here. Someone else says, not the a-hole. If she wanted to play the I'm paying for the wedding card, then you had every right to give the card back and take it off the table. She is the one that made it public, not you. Do not respond to any of the drama and continue forward with grace. You cannot control how people behave, but you control how you react. You did what you had to do, and now let's leave it at that, which makes sense. And I'm feeling like I missed something now. It's okay. It's okay. Last one from Reddit says, not the a-hole. She brought it up and was trash talking you in front of everyone. You shut her up in front of everyone. Well done. In my honest opinion, you did a good job showing her how she cannot treat you and probably save yourself a lot of mother-in-law headaches in the future. Hopefully, it sounds like she has been with her fiance, husband, or whatever for a long time. So she probably already knew how this mother-in-law acted and was probably prepared for this. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. So let me see what the Beehive comments had to say, and then we're going to jump into the poll. If you're watching on the live, make sure you are voting in the poll on YouTube, okay? We got Kimmy Locker, welcome in, saying hello, Bree Hive, hello, and welcome in, member, moderator, paralegal, consultant of the channel. Welcome back and welcome backstage. Kimmy says, I mean, the mother-in-law did say even more so if they help pay for the wedding. So I see why OP made the connection. I think I wasn't paying attention. I think I'm the problem in this one because the comments on Reddit are also hinting towards that. And then you guys caught it. So Kimmy says, OP was a little harsh, but I don't think she's an a-hole because the mother-in-law brought it up in front of everyone and she reacted and responded basically in front of everyone. And that's literally what one of the comments said on Reddit too. If she is bringing it up in front of everyone, it was the sister-in-law's birthday, and this is what you're talking about. Like, why are we talking about my wedding? It probably also made your own daughter feel uncomfortable as well because it's supposed to be about her, yet you're so busy talking about the wedding. So I got the answer wrong, y'all. I got the answer wrong. We got the votes in saying we got 100% because only one person voted. But if you guys are watching on the live stream on YouTube, make sure you are voting in the poll so that we know what your thoughts are if you're not commenting it in the chat box. So 100% says no, someone else is the a-hole in this situation. And it sounds like it's probably going to be the mother-in-law because like I said, I missed that. I missed it hard and I gave a reaction to the wrong answer. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and jump into the next story that we have for tonight. And that one is, let's see where we at. I scrolled back up. This one is, am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law it's not my fault she married a deadbeat and to go figure it out? That sounds mean just off of the title, but I am sure we're probably going to be proven wrong, or I'm probably going to be proven wrong per usual. So let's see what this person has to say. So, am I trifling for telling my mother-in-law it's not my fault she married a deadbeat and to figure it out? So I, 25, and my male, 28, or my husband, 28. So I'm 25 and my husband is 28. We just had our first baby 4 days ago. Oh gosh, it's a baby story. Y'all, these are live reactions. I just kind of grabbed these and were like, okay, let's do it. We had our first baby 4 days ago. I've just been released from the hospital yesterday. My mother-in-law is bombarding my husband with calls because she's old and sick and wants him to take care of her. My husband took 2 weeks off of work to stay home with me and the baby to care for me after the C-section and bond with our daughter, as he should be doing. Mother-in-law took that as him being free and available and refuses to acknowledge that he's not on vacation. He is literally taking care of a newborn baby. And mother-in-law is like, I am also a newborn baby. Please take care of me. It goes on to say, it hasn't been easy. There were complications and I lost a lot of blood. I'm in a lot of pain and to the point where I can't even stand up on my own. Our baby is very fussy and crying a lot. We're not really sleeping because she literally cries every hour. The first time mother-in-law called was literally 3 minutes after I gave birth and wanted him to go over to her because she wasn't feeling well. She kept calling every hour when I was still in the hospital. My husband stayed with me the entire time because, like I said, I lost a lot of blood and wasn't feeling well. He put his phone on Do Not Disturb and didn't turn it on until I was discharged. We were still in the hospital parking lot when she called. He answered, and when he explained the situation, she lost her absolute mind and ended the call. She hasn't stopped calling him, and he blocked her number last night at 4 a.m. after 73 calls from her, which is ridiculous. These are brand new parents that's trying to take care of their newborn baby, and you're blowing them up because you want your son to come and take care of you. Does she not have her own husband? She can't have her own husband if she's calling him like that. She started calling me this morning and I tried to be polite, but after 15 calls between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m., where she called me names, yelled at me, and insulted me, I snapped and told her to leave us alone because we have a newborn at home. She said she doesn't understand why he can't go to her because her husband never took care of her after she gave birth and wasn't really involved with the kids until they were 3 to 4 years old. And I told her it's not my fault she married and had kids with a deadbeat and to leave us alone and figure out her own stuff like an adult. I completely forgot what the title of the story was. But yeah, I think that was right along the lines of what she needed to be saying to this mother-in-law. Because what do you mean? Because your husband didn't help you, you don't want my husband to help me? That is crazy. You should want better for your grandkids. Like, what are you talking about here? My husband is on my side, but we're obviously biased considering the amount of stress we're under at the moment. So I'm asking because I don't know if it's just the stress and the hormones and we're actually the problem, or she is out of her mind to expect my husband to leave me alone at home in this condition. And let's remember, OP can't stand up by herself because she had a C-section and probably almost lost her life. And you're talking about you're elderly and you're sick, and you say you have a husband. Where is this husband? So he didn't take care of the freaking kids when they were kids, and he's not taking care of you as his wife while you are sick and needing help. I'm assuming that the dad is still alive. Let's keep going. She said, I'm posting here because I need unbiased opinions. I feel like a-hole for what I said, and even if it's deserved, I shouldn't have worded my frustration. I should have worded my frustrations better. So, am I trifling for telling my mother-in-law that she shouldn't have had kids with a deadbeat? I'm saying no. I'm saying no. There are some updates in this one. So let me go ahead and do the updates before we make a full judgment. If you guys are watching on the live on YouTube, there is a poll in the chat where you can vote what your thoughts are on the case. So not the case. I'm still in work mode. Let me know your thoughts. A-hole, not the a-hole, someone else's a-hole. The options are there. Okay. So first update. Quickly, she's officially blocked on all channels. My husband sent her a long and detailed email, not an emailing your mom, long and detailed email informing her of our decision to go no contact and the reason behind it. She was also told that if she continues to try to contact us in any way, we will be going to the police for harassment and looking to getting a restraining order against her. She responded that it wasn't fair and said it's the we get cuss words today. We get cuss words, not on TikTok though. It's the calling her the B word, y'all. Making you do this. So yeah, she's banned from our lives indefinitely. The dad and my dad and father-in-law will be coming to stay with us 1 week each, just in case she decides to show up at our home. So her husband is still alive. I'm assuming that they're still married. Her husband is still alive, and he is just simply not taking care of her, which is ridiculous. And she wants her daughter-in-law to suffer the same non-help that she suffered when she was dealing with raising her own kids, which is ridiculous. Me and baby are doing well. I'm writing this while breastfeeding her. She eats like a champ. Hubby is sleeping right now. He was up all night with the baby so I could sleep because I was barely keeping my eyes open. Thank you for the well wishes. I'll update if anything happens. And guess what? More happened. So she did update us for the second time and say, I forgot about this post. A lot has happened. 2 days after we've completely gone no contact, she started spamming father-in-law with calls. We filed a police report and also filed for a restraining order. The police at first gave her a warning. We were given a restraining order, but mother-in-law violated it by getting a new number to continue to harass my husband. She said, bet I'll just call from a different number. Oh, she did not take this restraining order serious at all. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She did it again. We called the police again, and she's been arrested again for 30 days. We've gotten new phone numbers, and we're looking into moving away. My baby girl is thriving, and thanks to some advice I got here, we were able to find out why she was crying so much, and now she's barely crying. It's a big improvement. She sleeps better and actually rests. So she's overall better. So is OP wrong for telling her mother-in-law that she shouldn't have had a baby with a deadbeat? I'm going to say no. Mother-in-law seems a little bit unhinged, because how are you going to get a restraining order put on you and have your number blocked so that you cannot call these people anymore. And instead of just saying, okay, maybe I am acting crazy. And mind you, it sounds like the 2 weeks have passed. Okay. So maybe I am acting crazy. I need to move on. Let them, enjoy their baby, deal with their baby. No, instead of you just backing off, you decide that you're going to go and buy a whole new phone number in order to call them and continue to harass them. And my thing is like, okay, well, his 2 weeks is over. So why are you still asking for him to come take care of you? Like, do you really think you're more important than the baby? Which some mother-in-laws do think that they're more important than the baby, more important than the new family that their kid is creating. So again, make sure y'all are voting in the poll, and let me go ahead and jump in the comment section to see what the Reddit comments had to say. And then we'll jump into YouTube comment sections to see what they have to say, because I don't see anything coming in on TikTok other than people coming in and out. So first response says, not the a-hole, not trifling. Your mother-in-law is behaving like entitled, and congratulations on the baby. Someone responded to that and said, entitled and insane. Block her. Well, they did block her, and she unblocked herself by getting a new phone number. Block her. Don't unblock her until you can walk. If she still acts like a crazy person, block her again. Rinse and repeat until she learns not to act insane, which she is, okay? Which she is. Your mother-in-law has issues. Someone else is commenting. Your mother-in-law has issues, and it's not on you and your hubby to solve them. Don't answer when she calls. Cut off the conversation when she starts her mess, if and when you do talk to her. They responded and said, right, she clearly had enough energy to call 6,000 times a day, so she can't feel that bad. Yeah, she was calling 73 times in one night is crazy. I suspect she's not really sick and just wants the attention from OP's husband. It's pretty convenient that she got sick on the day of OP's C-section, which tends to be scheduled in advance. She just wants him to choose her over OP and their child. Exactly. I don't think there's any other reasonable explanation other than that she is doing this on purpose. She is not seriously going through the things that she's claiming to be going through, right? So another commenter says, not the a-hole. Your mother-in-law is crazy. Keep her blocked and keep the doors locked. 6 weeks of silence will do you a lot of good. Definitely agree. I can't believe that they are going to the extent of actually moving because of the craziness that the mother-in-law is doing. And to the fact where I'm assuming that the husband's dad is still married to the mom, where he's coming over to stay with his son and his new wife, or his wife, in order to block his own wife from coming and harassing them. Like, that is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Let's see what the comments have to say in the YouTube chat, and then we'll jump into the poll, and then we'll jump into the next story. So let's see. We got Kimmy saying 73 calls, definitely not the AL. Exactly. 73 calls is crazy. Like, what are you doing? Like, just continuously calling and calling and calling. And I don't even think that was the one. Oh, she said 15 calls from 7 a.m. to 3. I don't remember what the time frame was for the 73 phone calls. I had to block her. Like, literally. Kimmy says, if the mother-in-law is spamming the father-in-law with calls, it sounds like they're divorced now. Good for OP's husband in the story for standing up for her, though, because she's off her rocker. And usually we don't get that, We get the husbands that's like, oh, well, don't mind mom. That's just how she is. Don't worry. We should, let her come move in with us while we take care of the baby. But this husband has it on lock, and he's like, no, we are not doing that. Like, lady, you need to calm down. It is not about you. It's about my wife, and it's about my baby. We'll deal with you at a different time. We'll deal with you at a different time. We got Bog, which says, I didn't even hear the story, but not the ale. Exactly. All you had to hear was the end of the story to realize that this lady is, like what Kimmy said, off her freaking rocker. She needs to get it together. And then so we have the votes in the chat saying, am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law it's not my fault she married a deadbeat and to figure it out? Then 100% of the voters, which was more than one voter this time, I have to say, 100% says no, someone else is the a-hole, which we all know. which it typically is. And probably all families, if there is a mother-in-law, the mother-in-law is usually the a-hole in pretty much any given situation. Now, some people can be wrong sometimes, but a lot of times monster in-laws, mother-in-laws, whatever you want to call them, they are the problem majority of the time. So let's go ahead and jump into the next story, which is, let's see. Boom, we got another one. Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my mother-in-law at a family dinner? This one does not give us a lot of details to start off with, but I'm sure we're going to get them throughout the story. So, am I the a-hole for blowing up at my mother-in-law at a family dinner? This is a throwaway account. I, 23 female, have been married to my husband, 24 male, for 3 years. We were high school sweethearts and have been best friends since elementary school. He's still my best friend to this day. I've never had a great relationship with his mom. She's difficult to talk to, and our conversations are usually very shallow, gossiping about neighbors, complaining about the landscapers, etc. Almost a year ago, my mom passed away, which still feels surreal to write. She truly was my soulmate, and I'm incredibly grateful to have had her in my life for 23 years. I miss her more than words can describe. My husband's family really stepped up during that time, supporting us financially with funeral costs and managing affairs when I was in deep grief. I'm genuinely grateful for their help. Fast forward to now, we're expecting our first baby, another Reddit baby. As excited as I am, I'm also deeply saddened that my mom won't be here to guide me through this. We always talked about what my kids would call her, and we settled on Grams. Oh gosh, I think I know where this is going. I think I know where it's going. Now to the incident. We were celebrating our pregnancy at a dinner with my in-laws, and my mother-in-law asked to make a toast. She laughed and said, "I'm so grateful to celebrate a new addition to our family. We can't wait to meet little Veronica," which is her actual name. Oh, it's mother-in-law's name. Oh, I thought she was going to try to take Grams, but we're not there. She is naming the baby. The mother-in-law is naming the baby after mother-in-law. That's what we're doing here. Okay. She went on to talk about her own pregnancy and what I should expect, mentioning that my husband had an abnormally big head when he was born. When she said, "I look forward to being the favorite grandma to Veronica, since of course I'll be the only grandma." Oh my gosh. If I had an audible gasp sound on here, because who says that? I will be the favorite grandma because I'll be the only grandma. That is out of line. Absolutely out of line. Oh my gosh. The room went silent and I started to cry. I can only imagine the room going silent. I'm only not going silent because I'm on live stream, okay? I can't be quiet. I have to talk. The room went silent and I started to cry. I stood up and told her how incredibly insensitive it was to say that, and that my mom would always be a grandmother whether she was here or not. That was absolutely outrageous. She responded by saying I was overreacting and that it was just a joke. I told her to hell with her and left immediately. My husband later called me saying he spoke to his mom, who was in tears because she was embarrassed. She asked him to apologize on her behalf and told me I should have come back instead of telling her to go to hell and storming off. No, go to hell times 2. Okay, go to hell times 2. What are we talking about here? I'm currently staying with my sister and haven't stopped crying since. She supports me 100%, and I really want to know, am I trifling? Am I the a-hole here? And there's an update, y'all. There is an update to that story. Mother-in-law is what we said about the other one, off her rocker. My girl is to the moon. Like, she's in a rocket and she's on the moon, because who says that? I'm going to be the favorite grandma, knowing that this girl's mother passed away and it was recently, and you're going to say you're going to be the favorite grandma because you're the only grandma? That is out of control. Like, I don't know what possessed this woman to say this. Let's see what the update is. Okay, so she's making her update. Just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for the support. It's been incredibly eye-opening. After staying with my sister for a few days, my husband came over. He said he understood why I was hurt, but felt I overreacted. He asked me to apologize to mother-in-law to keep the peace. What? which felt like a betrayal. I had hoped he would stand up for me. The husband is losing in this story. He won in the other story, and this husband sucks. Oh my gosh. That night, my mother-in-law sent a long text doubling down on her joke and saying my grief is becoming a burden on everyone. She told me I need to seek professional help and move on. Oh my gosh, since it's almost been a year. It hasn't even been a year and she lost her mom. Like, what are you talking about? I showed my husband, but he got angry at me for escalating things. Oh gosh, you got to get rid of the husband. I know we say you can't just divorce all the husbands when we're talking about Reddit stories, but you got to get rid of the husband because this husband sucks. Oh my gosh. He said I should make peace with her for our child's sake and that he didn't want to be caught in the middle. I've decided to take some space and stay with my sister. I'm really struggling to come to terms with this. This whole situation has made me question if my marriage is right for me and my baby. I need an environment where I feel respected and supported, and I don't feel that way right now. I told my husband that if he wants me back, he needs to show me he can stand up for me. I'm putting myself and my baby first. I don't know what will happen next, but I know I deserve better than this. Girl, if you divorce him, custody court is going to be horrible for you. Horrible for you because him and his mommy are going to freaking team up on you. Oh my gosh. My sister and I are currently turning her old office into a room, prepping for Rosie's after my mom, Rosa's arrival. I feel truly blessed to have her support. Thank you again. But let me know. Am I trifling? I would say no. And it's a husband problem. And that's why his wife or his mom feels entitled because he is probably a mama's boy, which we find in a lot of these mother-in-law stories. It's usually the daughter-in-law that's getting bragged on by the mother-in-law. Mother-in-laws don't really mess with son-in-laws like that. They can, but not very often. But wow. Here this girl is thinking that his family is full on supporting her and helping her through her grief. And the whole time her mother-in-law and apparently her husband is just waiting for her to freaking get over it. And I don't think anyone ever gets over losing a parent. And some people don't like their parents. We're not talking about those people right now. We're talking about people that had a close relationship with their parent and you lost them. And no, people do not get over that. Like just because it's been 6 months, just because it's been a year, it could be 50 years and you'll never be over it. So for her to say that, very insensitive and to double down on the joke. I'll be the only grandma. So who cares? Like what? Who does that? Who freaking does that? Okay. Let's go ahead and see what the comments have to say on Reddit. And Kimmy, can you help me find the first comment on this story in the chat by just marking it with a star, please? Okay, let's go ahead and see what Reddit commenters had to say. First comment says, don't fall for sister-in-law's guilt trip. Or wait, am I on the right one? Nope, I'm not on the right one. That's the problem. I am giving y'all comments from the other one. Okay, here we go. Comments on Reddit. Says, your mother-in-law said something severely inappropriate and insensitive. No person in their right mind would think what she said was okay, no matter how many years have passed. That's what I said since your mother's death. Hell, my grandmother passed away almost 10 years ago. And when my son was born 2 years ago, my mom and I talked a lot about how much we missed her and how we wish she was here to see him. We still say this often when he's reached milestones and we're just doing or we're just doing something we know she would have enjoyed. It's natural to think about deceased relatives more at a time like this. And she says something so callous as that, not the a-hole. I agree that this commenter had it spot on because why would you say that? Like literally, why would you say that? Someone else says, not the a-hole, speaking as a husband who has a mom like this. And I mean, why is it always the boy moms that be like this? I don't know. Speaking as a husband who has a mom like this, at least he can point out that his mom behaves like this, okay? You need to seriously have a discussion with him about his mom's behavior. He has the power to change how his mother treats you, and it seems like he's okay with what she did and expects you to apologize. I understand it's his mom, but he chose to live a life with you and start a family. That needs to be his first priorities, not mommy's feelings. Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand this when they get married, especially when They are a mama's boy. Somebody seconds that comment and says, so this, if mother-in-law isn't called out now, it's only going to get worse when the baby arrives. I'm sorry for the loss of your mother. Congratulations on your pregnancy, OP. I'm like, dang, is this the mother-in-law from the first story? No, it can't be, because the husband actually defended his wife in that one. One more comment from Reddit says, please, not the a-hole, please allow me to recap. Mother-in-law desecrated the memory of your mother while simultaneously attempted to elevate her place in the family. Husband is put you out. Husband put out that you left this scene before giving mother-in-law a chance to weasel her way out via a vicarious apology. Have I got that right? You have a husband problem and a mother-in-law problem. That's what I said. This is a husband problem, probably a mother-in-law problem too, but definitely a husband problem, because your husband should have stood up to her, just like the one in the other story. He shut that down quickly, blocked his own mama. Okay, let's hope that the former corrects itself before the birth. If husband even whispers that Veronica should be included as any part of the name, then take it for the giant flash red light it is. Yeah. Veronica, yeah, her name will not be Veronica. I'm glad that she picked a name to honor her own mom. And just to be that presumptuous to say, oh, you're definitely naming this baby after me. Like, why? You treat me bad. Like, why would I name my baby after you? You treat me bad. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you are voting in the poll, letting me know whether you think that OP is a-hole or if someone else is in the situation, or no one at all. We know there's someone in this story out of all stories, right? Let me see. Thank you, Kimmy, for helping me find the chat. We got Bog Witch saying my mom is a saint, but the rest of the parents, my mom is a saint, but the rest of the parents on both sides suck. Well, I'm happy you at least got one good parent in the family, right? Bog Witch says, okay, Kurt can't really be anything but deadbeat. Oh, I think we're talking about the other case. Deadbeat because he's dead, but you're talking about people in your family. He can't be anything deadbeat because he's dead, but so that's not on here. Okay, that one was kind of funny. Mother-in-law in this story is not funny, okay, but that is funny. Kimmy says, OMG, my jaw literally dropped when I heard what mother-in-law said. Yeah, mother-in-law. And then, like, to double down, like, first of all, she named the baby after herself without asking anyone, it sounds like. Or maybe her son is hyping her up, telling her that she's going to get to name the kid. I don't know. And then she turns around and says, oh, I'm going to be the best grandma or the favorite grandma because I'm the only one. So I win by default, which is good for her because it sounds like if OP's mom was actually alive, then she would be the favorite grandma. And even though she's not alive, she probably still is going to be the favorite grandma because this grandma sucks. Bogwitch says, my joke was badly timed for this story. Yeah. I was just thinking about, I was like, wait, are we talking about this story? Yeah. It was funny though. It was funny. To be fair, I posted it before the story, but Kurt has been dead a long time. Dark humor can be healing. Yes, but this story we just read was not dark humor at all. It was bad. That was bad. But yours is good. Yours was good. Kimmy says the mother-in-law should be embarrassed and she should have apologized to OP directly and repeatedly. But her husband is asking her to apologize to the mother-in-law, which is insane to me. It's absolutely insane to me that he's doing that to his wife while she's pregnant, while his mother just offended her. And apparently he does not care. And I agree with you, Kimmy. Mother-in-law should be apologizing, not OP. Sabrina B says, mother-in-law is lucky it wasn't me because go to heck is the most family-friendly thing I would have sprouted off. Laughing my A off. I agree. And I don't even be cussing, y'all. I don't even be cussing. She is lucky. OP is even considering keeping her son as her husband. OP should not be considering that, okay? Autumn says, hi, I'm late. I started earlier than normal, so no problem. Welcome in. Nice to have you back. We got Kimmy saying, oop, we're back to crappy mama's boy husbands. I know, the first one did so good. I gotta start like building them up instead of just grabbing them and knowing like which ones are sucky husbands and which ones are not. Because yeah, we went right back to mama's way very quickly now. Kimmy says, OP's grief is a burden. I'm losing my mind at this story. Yeah, this one was wild. This one was insane. I was like jaw dropped throughout it. Kimmy says, I lost my mom 12 years ago. I'm sorry, Kimmy, and would still flip if I was put in that situation. Like I said, like you never get, that is something you never get over. Like, yeah, I feel like even when you don't like your parent, you just never get over something like that. And for her to like say it and then turn around and be like, you need to apologize to me. And the crazy part is the mother-in-law didn't even apologize to OP. A mother-in-law sent her son to say, apologize for me. And then you go to her and tell her to now apologize to me. That is not a real apology. I can't even talk. You don't apologize to someone in order to have them apologize back to you. That is not how an apology works. And not only did she want her to apologize back to her, she didn't even do the apology. I'm pretty sure her son just said that so that OP would forgive his mom and they can move on. But yeah, no, it doesn't matter how long ago it happens. You don't get over something like that, especially when you are younger. Like OP is still meeting like a lot of milestones. Like it's different. I guess it's not different when your parents die and when you're in your older age, but you've kind of prepared for it a little bit more. But when you're young and your parent also died young, like that's hard to deal with, right? You're not really preparing as someone who probably hasn't even had children yet to not have your mom there when you give birth because you think that they're young enough to still be there, right? So I just don't understand how OP's husband and his mother-in-law got off thinking that was going to be a funny joke. Sabrina B says, for real though, and the audacity of trying to name the baby. It, like... Didn't even ask OP. I'm assuming she talked to her son about it because ain't no way she just came up with that on her own. Like, no, she probably came up with it on her own. She probably did come up with it on her own. I can't put it past her. So let's see if the people have voted in the poll. Let's see if we have a general consensus of, am I the a-hole for blowing up at my mother-in-law at a family dinner? The mother-in-law that said that she's going to be the favorite grandma because your mom is dead? Yeah. No, you're not the a-hole. And 80% says no, someone else is the a-hole. And 20% said yes, OP is the a-hole. If you are willing to come forward as to why you think OP is the a-hole, let us know. Was it an accident? Do you think that OP is overreacting? Let us know in the chat. But while we wait for that, if you're willing to reveal yourself, you don't have to, but if you're willing to reveal yourself, we're going to jump into the next story that we have for the night, which is the fourth story for the night. And that one is, I always go the wrong way. So this one is... Oh, wait, no, we're not going into the next story because there's an update. Did I not do this update? No, I did do the update. Okay, I did the update. Never mind. We are going into the fourth story. So, am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out after what she did to my daughter? These people are playing with people's kids tonight. I didn't realize how many of these I picked where people are interfering with people in their children's lives. But here we are again. If you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you are dropping in the poll your thoughts and dropping in the comment section your thoughts if you have more to say. Okay, so am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out after what she did to my daughter? I, 34 female, have been married to my husband, 35 male, for 12 years. We have a 16-year-old daughter who is currently pregnant. After a lot of thought and discussion, she decided to go through with the pregnancy and place the baby up for the adoption, which is completely her choice. So mother-in-law, I know the mother-in-law is going to be so out of line. Otherwise, this person would not be writing into Reddit. I know this mother-in-law is going to be out of line. My husband and I are fully supporting her. This wasn't easy for her at all, and the last thing she needs is judgment or pressure. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law doesn't see it that way. She's completely against the adoption and has made plenty of comments about how our daughter is throwing away a blessing. She's not throwing the baby away. She's giving a baby the better life that she thinks the baby will have by going in up for adoption. Like, why are you talking about she's throwing a blessing away? She's giving the baby a blessing and she's blessing another family that maybe couldn't have a child. So what is wrong with the grandma? How we're not... So let me go back. It says she's completely against the adoption and has made plenty of comments about how our daughter is throwing away a blessing or how we're not guiding her properly. You can't make the decision for her though. We've asked her multiple times to stop bringing it up, but she just keeps pushing her opinion like it's the only one that matters. To add some context, mother-in-law is going through a really rough divorce with my father-in-law. So she is focusing her energy on a little girl who's already going through a hard enough time. He owns their house outright. When things got nasty, he made her move out. She didn't have many options, so we let her stay with us temporarily. Dang, that's a mistake because you got to hear her mouth whether you want. You can't just send her home because her home is your home. We're trying to be supportive and give her space to get back on her feet. Now to what actually happened. A few days ago, my husband and I had to step out for a couple of hours. So mother-in-law was home alone with our daughter. Y'all should have never did that. You should have knew this was coming. Y'all should have knew this was coming. At some point, our daughter sat down to watch TV with some Dr. Pepper in one of our smaller glasses. Mother-in-law walked in, saw the drink, and immediately assumed she was drinking alcohol. Why would you immediately assume that your 16-year-old granddaughter is drinking alcohol? Like, why would that be your first assumption? Because she's drinking it from a small glass? What? What are they talking about? Let's see. Without asking a single question, she stormed over and tried to yank the glass out of her hand. It ended up slipping and shattering on the floor, and our daughter got shards of glass in her foot. Oh my gosh. Grandma! When we got home, our daughter was sitting on the couch with her foot propped up on the table while mother-in-law tried to get the shreds out of her foot. Oh my gosh, that just made my skin crawl. Do you see why I'm not in the medical field? Because that just, that literally just hurt me. And I got a story about a toothpick in my own foot. So yeah. Oh, no. Okay, let's keep going. I asked what the hell happened. And that's when mother-in-law explained to me and my husband. I told mother-in-law to clean the mess up while my husband and I immediately took our daughter to the ER. Luckily, she didn't need stitches because the shreds weren't big enough for that, but she was scared and hurting and I was livid. When we got back, I told mother-in-law she had completely blown past the line and that she needed to leave. I told her that she can't stay here if she's going to endanger our daughter. She started crying. Oh gosh, here we go. Tears, big tears from grandma. Okay. She started crying and saying she was just trying to protect the baby. I told her my daughter is the one who needs protecting right now. The baby isn't even here, and the only person mother-in-law can think about is herself. She left in the morning, and my husband is backing me on the decision, but I've received a couple messages from sister-in-law who mother-in-law is now staying with. I mean, she's probably mad that her mom has to stay with her now. She's now staying with, saying I was too harsh and should consider that I should consider what mother-in-law is going through during all of this. Well, she shouldn't be imposing herself on other people's business. She needs to focus on her business, actually. And then she says, I didn't feel like I was out of line, but this has made me second guess myself. So am I the a-hole in this situation? I say no. I say no because what is mother-in-law talking about? What are we doing here? You're trying to tell this baby what to do. She already made up her mind. Her parents are supporting her. And then you turn around and you put her in danger by ripping a glass out of her hand because you assume a 16-year-old. Like, that would not be my first assumption of a 16-year-old. I mean, unless the daughter has a past, but even then, maybe, try asking her. Maybe, like, geez. Let's see what the Reddit comments had to say about this one. And Kimmy, if you can help me out with the star again, that would be lovely, please. If you guys are watching live on YouTube, make sure you are voting in the poll if if OP is the a-hole for kicking the mother-in-law out of her house for basically cutting up her daughter's foot. Okay. Comments on Reddit says, don't fall for sisters-in-law's guilt trip. Chances are she just wants you to apologize to mother-in-law so she will move back in with you and sister-in-law doesn't have to deal with her. Exactly. That was my first thought. She does not want her mom in her house. Send her back to your house. And she doesn't even care if her niece is in danger about it. That is horrible. Someone else comments under that and says, I agree. The mother-in-law sounds like an insufferable harpy. What is a harpy? Do not take your mother-in-law back, OP. But perhaps your sister-in-law also needs to either kick the mother-in-law out or make some hard boundaries where any straying will result in major consequences. Yeah, mother-in-law does not sound like a joy. She does not sound like a joy. Someone else says, not the a-hole, but what happened? She needs to not be around your daughter because daughter, pregnant or not, she endangered a minor, also apparently has no remorse for her actions. Someone else comments and says, Let me see. Never mind. I don't want to read that one because that was just a reading the edit. And then we're going to do this last comment on Reddit, and then we'll jump into YouTube comments. So if you guys have thoughts, make sure you are dropping them in the chat right now. And if you are dropping chats in TikTok, I probably have missed it. Okay. So this commenter says, not the a-hole, no matter what not the a-hole, no matter what your mother-in-law or anyone else, for that matter, like your sister-in-law, well, anyone might say to the contrary, how she behaved towards your daughter, who was simply drinking some soda pop, was violently unforgivable, abusive, as well as hugely judgmental. And let's face it, your mother-in-law will likely also never accept your daughter placing the baby up for adoption and will therefore never stop being judgmental towards her either. From what you have posted, and in my opinion, your mother-in-law is a judgmental bully with a violent temper, and I am glad you booted her out and that your husband, her son, is supporting you, which we got another good husband again. We got another good husband, which we don't get a lot of. We don't get a lot of good husbands. So lucky we got one. And to be honest, I also kind of have to wonder if mother-in-law's messy and rough divorce might have something to do with her being full of herself, holier than thou, always right, etc., and that your father-in-law might simply have had enough of her constant nastiness and her nagging. Probably. I mean, people that act like that don't just start acting like that out of the blue. Like, they've been acting like that for years, most likely. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say that OP is not the a-hole in this situation. I think that this commenter has it right. She's never going to accept the adoption. And it's probably better that they get her out of there before the adoption so that she doesn't cause problems during the adoption. Like, they do not need to let this lady at the hospital when the granddaughter or when the daughter gives birth, because she's probably going to cause a whole scene, which is not going to be good. Not going to be good for anybody. So let's jump into the YouTube comments to see what we have to say about things. And then we'll go ahead and jump into the poll, and then we'll get into the last story for the night. I know it's kind of a shorter live stream and we started earlier, so welcome in to all the people that have come in a little bit later. It'll be on the replay if you missed any of the stories. So we got Kimmy saying, once again, I feel like it's obvious that mother-in-law is the a-hole. It's pretty obvious. She's way out of line, and good for OP for protecting her daughter. And let's give a kudos to the husband being a good husband. I know we shouldn't applaud them for doing the bare minimum, but at least he had her back and his daughter's back. I don't know what happened with third husband, OP's third husband. I'm not her third husband, but the third story we did today. Sabrina said, why didn't mother-in-law call the ambulance or take her to the hospital? Geez, she's just sitting there trying to pick the glass out of her foot, which is making my skin crawl. Oh my gosh. I don't like that kind of stuff. But I don't know why mother-in-law just didn't take her to the hospital. She just sat there and probably made it worse. Maybe she didn't want her to like stand up and step on more glass. Maybe, and she probably couldn't pick her up. I'm going to assume, which I could be completely wrong, that maybe the dad picked her up off the couch and took her out the door so that they could take her to the hospital. But like you said, she could have called an ambulance if she couldn't pick her up and to make sure she didn't step on more glass. Kimmy Locker saying, good question. Yeah, that is a good question. I don't know. Mother-in-law doesn't seem to have it all together, though. So can we really expect much of her? I don't know if we can. Let's go ahead and jump into the poll. And it says, am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out after what she did to my daughter? 100% says no. Someone else is the a-hole. So good. Thank you for everyone that has voted in the chat to let us know your thoughts on the story. But we got one more. We have one more story for the night. And so let's see if we have an a-hole in this one. Is it going to be the mother-in-law again? Or is it going to be someone else? Which I could probably guess is going to be the mother-in-law. I think it's going to be the mother-in-law again. Let's see. Am I the a-hole for leaving a picture up that angers my mother-in-law? Okay, this one could go either way. I haven't read it, so we'll have a live reaction to it. Am I the a-hole for leaving up a picture that angers my mother-in-law? I, 25 female, married my husband, Joe, 27 male, 4 months ago. We dated all through high school and college, so we have been in each other's lives and each other's families for quite some time. Joe's father died when we were seniors in high school, and his sister Jill died 3 years ago. I don't know why I'm picking all the stories where people are passing away. I don't know what's going on today. Since then, his mother, Jean, has been, in my opinion, unhinged. I cannot imagine her sense of loss, and I know everyone has their own grief process, so I really try not to judge, but she makes everything about grief. She didn't come to our college graduation because she would never get to see Jill graduate from college. Okay, that's messed up. You still have to be there for your other kids. Like, I definitely understand her losing a child and wanting to protect her or protect the child that was lost. Kind of, I don't know if you would call it like dignity or something, but I get that. But you also have to support and live for the child that's still living. So that's messed up. Let me see. Let's see. We tried to be especially kind to her on Mother's Day, but she spends hours at the cemetery and gets very irate if we leave before she's ready to. She insists we give our first child her husband's name as a first or middle name and gets angry when we say we'll name our future children as we see fit. There have been other incidences too. Mother-in-law, she's going through a lot. She's done so much to push Joe away while also relying on him for emotional and sometimes financial support. They have a very unhealthy relationship now. The mother-in-law is going through a lot. I don't know. I kind of feel bad for her. It came to a head when we were wedding planning. I invited her to come wedding dress shopping with me, my mom, my grandma, and my maid of honor. Oh gosh, she's going to make it about her daughter, huh? I told her she did not need to come if it was going to be painful for her, but she said she would be happy to. To all our surprise, she came and brought a wedding gown that Jill had purchased to save for her own wedding someday. She said it would help her if I tried it on, and I did, which made her cry, but then she insisted that it was my dress and I didn't need to get another one after multiple refusals. She pouted the rest of the time, and it was awkward for everyone. That's intense. If I was OP, I probably wouldn't have tried on the dress because you probably could have expected that that's what she would have done. This led to a lot of drama to the point where Joe and me, but mostly Joe, did not want her at the wedding because we couldn't trust her to not cause some kind of scene and because we thought it would be terrible for her mental health. We asked her not to come and she agreed not to. I got to have a dance with my dad, and my mom surprised Joe by stepping in for the mother's dance with him. They smiled and laughed the whole time. It was the most special part of the wedding to me. I recently changed my Facebook cover photo to a picture of Joe and my mom dancing and laughing. Jean saw this and has been coming at us for it, saying it's just a reminder that she was excluded from her son's wedding day. I told her I'm not taking it down and that if she doesn't want to see it, she can simply just not look at my Facebook, which is true. She said I am inconsiderate of her feelings and that I am an a-hole for this because it drives another wedge between her and her son. So am I the a-hole for basically putting up this picture of my husband and my mom dancing at the wedding after we disinvited the mother-in-law? I'm going to be honest with y'all. I do kind of feel bad for the mother-in-law because she is grieving. It's kind of like the other story where, the daughter-in-law was grieving, but you also cannot just kind of impose yourself on other people, which it doesn't. I know that in the other story, mother-in-law was calling daughter-in-law a burden for her emotions, but basically this mother-in-law is kind of being a burden. Like, how are you going to give her the dress that your daughter was going to wear, and when she didn't want to wear it, you threw a fit and caused the problem? I don't know. I think OP is right. Mother-in-law does not have to look at her Facebook either. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this one. Y'all let me know. Do y'all think that OP is the a-hole in this situation? If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you are dropping in the chat what your thoughts are and also voting in the poll if you don't feel comfortable leaving an actual comment. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Reddit comments and then jump into the YouTube comments, okay? So let's see where we at here. Commenters, do you think that OP is the a-hole? We have someone saying, at this point, I think you should use it as a bargaining chip. You guys need her at arm's length until she gets into grief counseling with a therapist and meets the therapist long term. Until she is working with a grief therapist, every event will become like your wedding did. You want this dealt with before a child is in the picture, truly, and especially if she starts treating the baby bad because she thought she would be able to be in there when Jill had a baby. That could also become a problem. So I see what this commenter is saying. Use it as a bargaining chip. Don't take it down until mother-in-law signs up for grief counseling. That could work. That could work. I don't know if it will work, but it could work. OP says every event already has. This was just our breaking point. She doesn't see Joe on his birthday. She missed his college graduation. We tried spending some holidays with her, but it's awful every time. So this mother-in-law is going, I feel bad for her, but geez, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. She says, someone says she sounds annoying AF and very self-centered. But per the photo, I think it is hopefully unintentionally spiteful to put a picture where your mom served in his mom's place in the wedding. Yes, she misbehaved herself out of an invitation, but she kept her word and agreed not to come. In her place, I would think it's pretty mean for you to display a picture that will always remind her that she wasn't a part of a big day in his life, especially because it's your Facebook photo of your husband and mom. A family wedding photo where she isn't there is more justifiable. I don't know. I just think it seems petty. And I can probably agree with that. It does seem like, did you really need to put that particular picture up? I don't know. Someone commented and says, this is where I'm at with this. The whole situation sucks. It's tough because her mother-in-law is poorly treating the child. She doesn't. Let me start over. This is where I'm at with this. The whole situation sucks. It's tough because the mother-in-law is poorly treating the child she does have properly. I can't read that one. I don't know what they're trying to say. So we're going to skip it. I've already choked on it twice and I'm not doing it again. Someone says, which I said, I am touring this one. Someone says, you're the a-hole only because it's weird to have that as your profile picked at all. Seems like you don't mind rubbing it in her face. I seriously doubt that that was the special picture out of all of them, let alone you're apparently not even in it. Super weird behavior all around. She's clearly struggling and needs mental health help. Don't make it worse. And did they say the profile picture or was it like the background banner? I could probably go look, but I'll look in a second. Let me see here. Someone else says, yes, this feels a bit nasty. And that's why I was a little bit torn about it too. Someone else says, I think it's quite awful to use a picture of Joe and your mom dancing and laughing. I think it's in poor taste. I would think she could benefit tremendously if she got therapy. It wouldn't be a bad idea to get family therapy. She is still grieving the death of her daughter. Expecting you to wear Jill's wedding dress is weird. If you are concerned about her mental health, then why post a picture of your mom laughing and dancing with your husband, the lady's son? I'm torn on this one. I don't even know if I would be able to vote in the poll today. But if you guys haven't voted and you're on YouTube, make sure you are voting in the poll. Kimmy with a reminder saying, don't forget to like and make sure you're subscribed and follow on TikTok if you're on TikTok. But yes, again, I always forget to say this. So Kimmy, thank you for reminding us all. Kimmy says, this is a tricky one because I don't think anyone is the a-hole here. OP could choose literally any other picture from her wedding, but mother-in-law doesn't need to look. That is true. And let me go see. Was it the cover photo? So my idea of what the cover photo is like when you go on Facebook and it's on your actual page, like the background photo, not her actual profile picture. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a big Facebook person, but I think that the cover photo is like that background picture when you first go on somebody's page, like the rectangle picture. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And then if you scroll down, it goes away. So that's what I'm thinking she put up there, which is still probably petty. It's still probably petty, but I don't think it's the actual profile picture. So it's not like every time OP posts, then the mother-in-law will see it. I think she actually has to go on her page in order to see it. I could be wrong. Kimmy says, it's also kind of calls attention to the fact that mother-in-law wasn't there for other people to see, for them to see it. Yes. And it's kind of like, you weren't there and we had my mom replace you. I mean, mother-in-law is also kind of replacing the son by the grief of their daughter. I don't know. But no, I definitely see it being as like kind of a slap in the face and also letting people that maybe wasn't even at the wedding know that mother-in-law also was not at the wedding. So maybe you shouldn't feel that bad if you weren't invited because his own mama wasn't even invited. And that might even make your husband look bad, honestly. Kimmy says, I think you're right. It's like the banner on your profile. Yeah, that's what the cover photo is. So technically, mother-in-law does not have to go on her page and look at the cover photo. If it was the profile photo, I would probably be like, okay, you're outdoing yourself. She can just block the mother-in-law from going on her page. Yeah, she can do that too. And then all the problems are solved, right? But yeah, I think it seems a little petty. So we got votes in the poll. We got votes in the poll that says, am I the a-hole for leaving up a picture that angers my mother-in-law? We got 25% saying no, someone else is the a-hole. We got 50% saying no, nobody is the a-hole. And 25% saying yes, everyone is the a-hole. Yeah, I mean, I think you can go either way with no one or everyone, because the mother-in-law, although she is grieving, she has to do something to get her in a position to be able to be there for her kid that is still living. So technically, a mother-in-law is probably being an a-hole to a certain extent, not necessarily over the wedding photo thing. I don't think she's being an a-hole over that. But like everything else she's been doing over the years, she does seem like she needs to get into counseling if she's not, which it sounds like she's not if she's just acting like this. And then the daughter-in-law, like, you could have picked a different photo. You could have blocked the mother-in-law for the time being. I don't know. But I think it could go either way of that. Yes, you guys all suck, or no, none of you suck. That one was a tough one for me. So yeah, those are all the stories that we had for the day. So thank you everyone for joining in on the live stream. And I'm trying to get rid of the banner, but Kimmy did it for me. So thank you. Definitely appreciate it. Today we did a poll to see what cases, or not what cases, but what we were going to cover today. And it was voted that we would do Reddit stories today. So thank you everyone that voted in the community tab poll. Thank you for everyone that has come into the live stream. I know some people are popping in late because I started earlier than normal, but this will be on the replay if you missed any of the stories. If you want to struggle through me struggling through stories, that's cool. Make sure to watch it on the replay. And if you haven't already, please do hit the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And I will see y'all on the next live stream or short or whatever is posted next. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kimmy, for all the help in the background. I will see y'all all on the next one. Bye.